Xyloth's jaw dropped, his mandibles slack as the ship went screaming across the galaxy. The human-modified engines thrusting faster than any Zoranian spacecraft ever. By Zothrok's egg sac, what have I let that insane human do to my ship? The controls shook under his hands, lights blinking madly. Moments ago, Xyloth had reluctantly let the human mechanic Jack modify his old rusty freighter. He didn't fully trust the grinning ape, but was desperate to beat his competitors. His clunky ship could barely do 5 light jumps a cycle lately. Then the crazy human offered to juice it up with experimental tech for a good price. Really, what choice did Xyloth have? Let the smooth-faced alien fiddle with it and hope for the best, or limp home in disgrace, his cargo rotting, his clan shamed. The proud Zoranian merchant had no option, so he watched, hearts pounding, as the human meddled and tinkered, bolting bizarre gizmos to the engine, updating the control module with strange flickering symbols. When it was done, Jack smacked the airlock button with a wink. "Let her rip, buddy?" Well, rip it did. Xyloth was just entering coordinates for the first jump when every alarm started blaring. The ship jolted forward with a gut-wrenching lurch. Stars blurred past the view screen. The speed gauge, which normally capped at 8, spun up to 25, 50, 100. Xyloth's eyeballs bulged. His heart nearly exploded. "Zothrok's balls, I've made a terrible mistake. Damn that human and his mad science. This is how I die, ripped apart by physics, splattered across the cosmos. If this rig doesn't shake apart first. I never should have trusted an ape to fix my ship." Xyloth watched with growing unease as the human mechanic worked on his ship. Jack, with his strange smooth skin and unnerving grin, was making modifications that looked nothing like the sleek, efficient designs Xyloth was used to. The Zoranian merchant paced back and forth, his clawed feet clicking against the metal floor as he tried to make sense of the crude-looking upgrades. "What in Zothrok's name are those?" Xyloth asked, pointing at a set of bulky thrusters being welded to the ship's rear. They were easily twice the size of the original ones and had an odd, angular shape that seemed to defy Zoranian engineering principles. Jack looked up from his work, his face smudged with grease. "These? These are high-performance thrusters, my friend. They'll give your ship a kick like you wouldn't believe." Xyloth's mandibles twitched. They looked like they were cobbled together from scrap metal. The human laughed. "Don't let their appearance fool you. These babies are built to last and built to blast. You'll be leaving your competitors in the stardust." As Jack continued his work, Xyloth noticed the human was also reinforcing the ship's hull with thick, ugly plates of some unknown alloy. The once sleek lines of his freighter were becoming obscured by the chunky additions. "Is all this really necessary?" Xyloth asked, his voice strained. "The added weight will surely slow us down." Jack shook his head. "Not with the engines I'm installing, and trust me. You'll be grateful for the extra protection when you're out there in the void. Space can be a dangerous place." But what really made Xyloth's heart skip a beat was the sight of the experimental faster-than-light drive Jack was fitting into the ship's core. It was a far cry from the elegant, streamlined Zoranian designs he was familiar with. The human contraption was a mess of wires, tubes, and pulsing lights that seemed to follow no logical pattern. Unable to contain his concerns any longer, Xyloth confronted the human. "Jack, I demand an explanation for these monstrosities you're attaching to my ship. They look like they were designed by a blind Kralnak." The human mechanic simply smiled, unfazed by the alien's outburst. "I know they may not look like much, but trust me, these modifications will take your ship's performance to a whole new level. You'll be faster, tougher, and more efficient than ever before." Xyloth's eyes narrowed. "And you're certain they won't cause any problems? I can't afford to have my ship falling apart mid-flight." Jack placed a reassuring hand on the Zoranian's shoulder. "I stake my reputation on it. These upgrades are the result of years of human ingenuity and experimentation. They may not be pretty, but they get the job done better than anything else out there." Xyloth sighed, his shoulders slumping in resignation. He had come too far to back out now. "Fine, but if anything goes wrong, it's on your head, human." Jack grinned, his teeth flashing in the dim light of the cargo bay. "You won't regret this, Xyloth. When I'm done, your ship will be the talk of the galaxy." As the human returned to his work, Xyloth couldn't shake the feeling that he had just made a deal with a madman. But with his clan's honor and his own livelihood on the line, he had no choice but to trust in the strange, smooth-skinned mechanic and his bizarre upgrades. With the final bolt tightened and the last wire connected, Jack stepped back from Xyloth's ship, a satisfied grin on his face. "There you go, buddy. She's all ready for action." Xyloth eyed the vessel warily, his mandibles twitching with uncertainty. The once familiar contours of his freighter were now obscured by the human's bulky modifications, giving it a menacing, almost alien appearance. "Are you sure about this, Jack? It looks like a completely different ship." The human clapped Xyloth on the back, nearly knocking the wind out of him. "Trust me, you're going to love it. Take her for a spin and see for yourself." Reluctantly, Xyloth climbed into the cockpit, his clawed fingers hesitating over the modified controls. With a deep breath, he powered up the engines, bracing himself for the worst. To his surprise, the ship hummed to life smoothly, the vibrations barely noticeable through the reinforced hull. Gingerly, Xyloth eased the ship out of the docking bay, half expecting it to shake itself apart at any moment. But as he pushed the thrusters to full power, the vessel surged forward with incredible speed and agility, effortlessly outpacing the other Xoranian ships in the vicinity. Xyloth let out a whoop of excitement, his heart's racing with exhilaration. "By Zothrok's beard, this is incredible. I've never flown anything like it." He put the ship through its paces, executing daring maneuvers and tight turns that would have been impossible in his old freighter. The human modifications responded beautifully, the engines roaring with power, and the reinforced hull shrugging off the stresses of high-speed flight. Lost in the thrill of the moment, Xyloth almost didn't notice the blinking light on his communications panel. With a flick of his claw, he opened the channel, and a desperate human voice filled the cockpit. "Mayday, mayday. This is the human colony on Xeron 5. We are under attack by space pirates. They've already breached our defenses and are closing in on the civilian sectors. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need immediate assistance." Xyloth froze, his excitement evaporating in an instant. Space pirates were notoriously ruthless, and the human colony sounded like it was in dire straits. Every instinct told him to turn away, to focus on his own mission and leave the humans to their fate. But as he gripped the controls of his newly upgraded ship, a strange feeling stirred within him. The humans, for all their eccentricities and bizarre ways, had given him a chance to prove himself, to show the galaxy what he was truly capable of. And now, one of their colonies was in danger. Xyloth's mandibles clicked together in determination. He couldn't just abandon them, not after everything Jack had done for him. With a resolute nod, he plotted a course for Xeron 5, pushing his ship to its limits. As he rocketed through the void, Xyloth's mind raced with the possibilities. With his ship's enhanced speed and firepower, he might just be able to make a difference. He could swoop in, catch the pirates off guard, and buy the colonists enough time to evacuate. It was a risky plan, and Xyloth knew he would be heavily outnumbered. But the thought of the human colonists, their lives hanging in the balance, steeled his resolve. He would show the galaxy that a Xoranian merchant could be more than just a trader, that he could be a hero. As Xeron 5 grew larger on his view screen, Xyloth took a deep breath, his claws tightening around the controls. "Hang on, humans," he muttered. "Help is on the way." The pirate ships came into view, their jagged silhouettes bristling with weapons. Xyloth's heart hammered in his chest, but he pushed his fear aside. With a fierce battle cry, he charged headlong into the fray, the human-modified weapons roaring to life, ready to take on whatever dared stand in his way. As Xyloth's ship dropped out of hyperspace, the chaotic scene of the besieged human colony filled his view screen. The once peaceful settlement was now a hellscape of burning buildings and debris-strewn streets, punctuated by the flashes of weapons fire and explosions. The pirate fleet hung in orbit, like a swarm of angry insects, their ships bristling with guns and missiles. They were already launching another wave of attacks, their fighters streaking towards the surface with murderous intent. Xyloth's heart raced as he realized the enormity of the task before him. He was just one ship against an entire pirate armada. But as his claws tightened around the controls, he felt a surge of determination. The humans had given him a chance to be something more, and he would not let them down. With a roar of the engines, Xyloth plunged his ship into the fray. The pirates, expecting an easy victory, were caught completely off guard by the sudden appearance of the heavily modified Zoranian freighter. Xyloth's fingers danced across the control panel, activating the human-designed weapons systems. A barrage of missiles and energy beams erupted from his ship, tearing through the pirate fighters like a hot knife through butter. The pirates scattered in panic, their formation disintegrating as they tried to evade the withering fire. The comm channels crackled with the pirates' frantic chatter, their voices laced with fear and disbelief. "What the hell is that thing?" one of them screamed. "It's tearing us apart." Xyloth grinned fiercely, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. The human upgrades were performing even better than he had hoped. His ship darted and weaved through the pirate fleet, its reinforced hull shrugging off their desperate counterattacks. One by one the pirate ships fell, consumed by the brilliant explosions of Xyloth's weaponry. The few that remained quickly turned tail and fled, their engines straining as they tried to escape the sudden onslaught. As the last of the pirates vanished into hyperspace, Xyloth finally allowed himself to relax. His ship, despite the intense battle, had come through unscathed, a testament to the incredible resilience of the human modifications. A hail from the surface interrupted his thoughts. "Unknown ship, this is the human colony of Xeron 5. We don't know who you are or where you came from, but we owe you our lives. Thank you." Xyloth felt a warm glow of pride in his chest. He had done it. He had saved the colony and proven himself as more than just a simple merchant. With a click of his claws, he opened the channel. "This is Xyloth, a Zoranian trader. I'm just glad I could help." As he spoke with the human colonists, accepting their heartfelt gratitude, Xyloth's mind was already racing with new possibilities. If human technology could do this much for his humble freighter, what else could they achieve? The engineering practices of his own species suddenly seemed hopelessly outdated by comparison. He thought back to Jack, the eccentric human mechanic who had made all of this possible. Perhaps there was more to these strange, smooth-skinned aliens than he had initially believed. Perhaps, by working together, they could achieve things that neither species could accomplish alone. Xyloth looked out at the stars, his ship humming with the power of human ingenuity, and smiled. The galaxy, he realized, was about to get a whole lot more interesting. As Xyloth guided his ship back to the human space station, his mind was still reeling from the events that had just transpired. The adrenaline of the fierce battle against the pirates was slowly fading, replaced by a growing sense of awe and disbelief at what he had accomplished. The once unremarkable Zoranian freighter, now a formidable force to be reckoned with, glided smoothly through the stars, its human-modified engines humming with a reassuring power. Xyloth couldn't help but marvel at the ingenuity of the strange, smooth-skinned aliens who had made this transformation possible. As he docked at the station, Xyloth was greeted by a sight he had never expected. A crowd of cheering humans and aliens, all gathered to welcome him back as a hero. News of his incredible victory over the pirates had spread like wildfire, and it seemed that everyone in the galaxy wanted to catch a glimpse of the Zoranian trader and his miraculous ship. Xyloth stepped out of the airlock, his mandibles clicking nervously as he was swarmed by enthusiastic well-wishers. Cameras flashed and questions were shouted from every direction, but one voice cut through the chaos like a knife. "Xyloth!" It was Jack, the human mechanic, pushing his way through the crowd with a grin that threatened to split his face in two. "You magnificent bastard, you did it! You saved the colony and sent those pirates packing!" Xyloth clasped the human's hand, his claws carefully avoiding the delicate skin. "I couldn't have done it without your modifications, Jack. Your people's technology, it's beyond anything I've ever seen." As the two friends basked in the glow of their shared triumph, a commotion at the edge of the crowd caught their attention. A group of Zoranian officials, their exoskeletons gleaming with the insignia of the government, were pushing their way towards Zeloth, their expressions a mix of anger and confusion. "Trader Zeloth," the lead official barked, his mandibles quivering with barely contained rage. "You stand accused of violating Zoranian law by allowing unauthorized modifications to your vessel. What do you have to say for yourself?" Zeloth drew himself up to his full height, his own mandibles clicking in defiance. "I say that these modifications saved countless lives today. I say that human ingenuity has opened my eyes to possibilities we Zoranians have been too blind to see. And I say that if our laws prevent us from embracing progress, then perhaps it is time for those laws to change." The official seemed taken aback by Zeloth's bold words, but before he could respond, a murmur ran through the crowd. The Zoranian traders, who had once mocked Zeloth for his decrepit ship, were now staring at his vessel with undisguised envy and admiration. "You there," one of them shouted, pointing at Jack. "Human, can you do for my ship what you did for Zeloth's? I'll pay any price." Other traders quickly chimed in, each clamoring for the chance to have their own ships upgraded with human technology. The Zoranian officials, sensing the shifting tide of public opinion, huddled together in urgent conversation. Finally, the lead official stepped forward, his expression grudgingly respectful. "Trader Zeloth, it seems we may have been hasty in our judgment. The Zoranian government would like to extend an offer. Share your knowledge of human engineering with our shipbuilders, and we will not only drop all charges against you, but also reward you handsomely for your service to the Zoranian people." Zeloth's heart swelled with pride and gratitude. He turned to Jack, who was now being swarmed by eager alien merchants, and smiled. "What do you say, my friend? Are you ready to change the galaxy?" Jack grinned back, his teeth flashing in the light of the space station. "Buddy, I thought you'd never ask." As Zeloth and Jack began to plan for the future, the Zoranian trader couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had brought him to this moment. A chance encounter with an unorthodox human mechanic had not only transformed his ship, but also his entire outlook on life. He had gone from a struggling merchant to a galactic hero, a symbol of what could be achieved when different species worked together. And now, as he stood on the cusp of a new era of cooperation and innovation, Zeloth knew that this was just the beginning. With the combined ingenuity of humans and Zoranians, there was no limit to what they could accomplish. The galaxy would never be the same, and Zeloth couldn't wait to see what wonders the future held. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.